DJ and PK, it is time to welcome in Ken Boehlke from Sin Bin Vegas to talk about the Mammoth and the Golden Knights and their opening round Stanley Cup playoff series. Ken, good morning.
How are you guys?
We are doing well, Ken. I am curious. Is this series playing out the way you expected it to? Is all the expert analysis spot on? Or have there been some hidden gems inside this series that have surprised you?
Some of it has played out the way that I thought it would. I picked that it would go 7, so I guess it has to get to 2-2 usually to get it to 7. So that's been going the way I thought it would. But there's been some things that have been a little surprising. I think Vegas's side, Pavel Dorofeyev kind of getting benched there, and Tomas Hertl getting benched there in the third period into overtime. And then on Utah's side, Peterka kind of had the same situation. So some guys are having good goes here, and other guys not as much. So it's been a good series through 4 games.
Yeah, and what a game that was in Game 4, right?
Oh.
I mean, that was just awesome. That was so fun to watch. You're thinking that, at least I was, and I don't think I'm alone, you're thinking, all right, Vegas has got its bearings a little bit. They're going to assert its experience. They're going to blow these guys out. And no, that doesn't happen. So with that in mind, you won, and ultimately that's all that matters. I'm wondering what you think that they thought of that. Was it like, gosh, man, why did we let these guys back in? Or do they really care about that? Hey, we just won the game, we evened the series, and we got back home ice.
Yeah, I think in the end they're probably just like, all right, we got it. Let's not worry about what the journey looked like to get that one, because they also had their own adversity too, like getting the goal in overtime and then having it come back. Sure. And the coach was off the bench and said he was high-fiving the PR staff already as if they had won, and then now he's got to come back. It's like, oh, my goodness. So that, I mean, in the end, it's like, yeah, that would have been nice. I think Utah is the one that I look at more like, okay, how is this going to go for them? Because you're right. Vegas gave them the best shot they had, and it's 3-0. And that game could have very easily kind of just gone away. And it's like, all right, let's just move on to the next one and figure out how to get 2 more here. They didn't really crumble. They didn't go away. They came all the way back in that game, gave Vegas the best shot that they had back, got all the way over the hump, and then it still ends up not going their way. Like, I still wonder. The Mammoth scored 4 goals consecutively in both games, in the 2 home games up there at the Delta Center, and they only won 1 of them. Usually in the NHL, when you score 4 straight, you're going to win. So I'm interested to see how they're going to respond to that, especially understanding that they kind of ran out of gas there in the back end of the first overtime, and that may have been the reason why that game gets away. They might have won it if it made it 50 more seconds. We got into the second overtime, so it'll be interesting to see how they respond.
Fans and media tend to look for the big plays, the great moments, the stars. I find coaches really tend to believe you lose more games than you win. They're more into eliminating mistakes. And Andre Tourny, before the game, does an interview with the radio play-by-play guy that plays in the pregame show. And I happened to catch it, and one thing he said was, talking to all the guys, your first shift tonight. You got to be good on your first. And, of course, then they give up a goal like a minute 13 into the game, right? So he was planning on having 4 lines. Everybody had one good shift. You're through those first 5 minutes. You get the nerves out. He seemed to be worried about it, and they messed that up. And then they gave up a shorthanded goal off a bad giveaway at the end of the period. Yeah. Do you think it comes down more to mistakes or to great plays?
I think you're probably right that it's probably a mistake. Both coaches were on the same page. It was interesting because in Vegas's pregame media, it was 1 minute and 13 seconds long, and Tortorella said, we're ready to play 3 times in 1 minute and 13 seconds, and then got out of there. And meanwhile, you're saying on the flip side, they're like, we just got to get through this first shift. Yep. It does come down to mistakes. Like it typically does. And we've seen a bunch of it. You know, there's been some issues on both ways where they've just allowed some wacky stuff to happen. And it does come down to that. But then, you know, you kind of flip it around and you say, yeah, but you still need Dylan Guenther's shot. You still need Logan Cooley in there doing the types of things he's doing. In Vegas, they win this game 4, because Jack Eichel was spectacular. And the mistake you talk about with Boehlke pushing the puck out to the side on the shorthanded, well, Mitch Marner makes an all-world play to get the puck over to Howden, and then he makes a nice play to score it. So it takes a little bit of both. I think eliminating mistakes sounds all great and good and well, but in the game of hockey, there's going to be mistakes. Like, it's so fast. you've got to be aware of, like, how do we rescue the mistakes we made? Ian Cole makes the mistake late in overtime, knocking the stick out of Boehlke's hand. Puck goes in behind. Well, now they have two guys, goes between both of their legs. There's then a chance to block it for Cole to rescue it again, and that doesn't happen. So it takes four mistakes to finally end up being a goal, and it also takes great players to make it happen. Both teams have done both, and that's why we're even where we're at right now.
You talk about the Mammoth and their goal scoring. What do you think about Hart and the goaltending? Disappointing so far, or what?
Yeah, I would say underwhelming to a degree. I thought it was pretty good early in the series, specifically game one. He was stopping that first shot real well, and then the rebounds that were sitting there, the Golden Knights did a really good job of getting them out. So they didn't really have to worry about kind of maybe the weakness that was there in that first game. That's kind of gone away a little bit as the series has gone on, and certainly the two games up in Salt Lake City, there weren't a lot of shots from the Mammoth, so he didn't have a lot of work to do, and he gave up a couple of soft ones. If you give up a soft one in a playoff game, especially on the road, you're typically not going to win. It caught up to them in Game 3. They were able to overcome it in Game 4. The Carcone one off to the side there, and that was ended up being the third goal that tied it. Like, that one's got to be stopped. In overtime, he made a lot of the saves. There's particularly one on Clayton Keller up by his ears that went up into the protective netting. Like, that's a pretty big-time save and one that he has to come up with. So he's doing the job to a degree. I'm a little bit surprised they haven't looked to Aiden Hill. They have a Stanley Cup winner on the bench who makes $6.5 million, who is, in the top 15, I think, in getting paid in the NHL, and he's just kind of sitting there waiting. It's not like this guy's blowing them away in the net, so I'm a little surprised they haven't turned to him, but they're trying to make a pretty clear statement, like, this is the guy. We've got to give him all our confidence. We got to let him get through this, and they're going to apparently live or die by it seems.
Seems like Utah's given up 3 or 4 power plays pretty consistently. Do they have to stop doing that?
Yeah, I think so. The Golden Knights power play has been a bit of a mess in the last couple of games. I guess it probably goes back 3 games now, where they're still searching for answers. They're switching their units around. They were one of the best power plays in the league all season long, and they had a five forward unit that was operating at. I mean, it was pushing 25%, 1 out of 4 all season long, and they've run into a little bit of a year where they haven't had as much success. Coach starts changing things, and it gets a little ragged. And that one in overtime, I think, would have really come back to bite the Golden Knights if if they don't get the extra goal that wins the game. We would be looking back on that one and saying, "Uh-oh." But you're spot on that, like, a lot of it's the undisciplined stuff. Like, there's been stuff off the puck. There's been stuff like okay, the slash in overtime, that's a hard play that he comes in and makes. He gets a little overzealous, and now you're in the box. Like, you're going to have to live with some of those. But, like, some of the stuff, the interferences off the puck, some of the late whistle stuff that happened in Game 1 and 2, like, if you can avoid that, the power plays, I think if both teams get an equal number of power plays, both teams feel like they have a pretty good shot to take advantage of it. Whichever team takes more, they're probably going to end up falling behind. And I think even though that's not what ended up happening on the scoreboard, it was the shorthanded goal for Vegas that kind of maybe changed it. I do think if it's 4-2 or 4-1, as it was in the one game, that's not going to work for Utah in these last 2 games. You got to win 2 out of 3. So it's going to be tough.
If Vegas wins this, can I make a case that it'll be largely because of Eichel, Stone, and Marner?
Certainly Game 4 was definitely Eichel and Marner. Stone, certainly the first couple of games. They haven't scored as much.
Right.
There's only the 2 goals between the 2 of them. Stone's got a pair of them. Eichel doesn't have any. Marner doesn't have any. They don't typically score a ton in the playoffs. At least he didn't in his Toronto time for Marner. Even the road to the Cup, the Golden Knights played 22 games in their road to the Cup in 2023, and Eichel only had 6. So he doesn't score a ton of goals. I think you're probably right, though. If the Golden Knights are to win 2 games out of 3, it's probably going to be those guys stepping forward and getting the job done. So far, I think the fourth line of Nick Dowd, Cole Smith, and Colton Sissons has probably been The reason it's not 3-1, it's because of those guys. Those guys have stepped forward and probably been better than Utah's bottom line. So that's probably why we're here now. But, yeah, if Vegas gets 2 more in this series, it's probably going to be because of those 3 guys.
DJ PK and Ken Boehlke join us from Sin Bin Vegas to talk about Game 5. I am curious, from the outside looking in, and obviously Vegas is another division, all that, is the progression of the Mammoth in Utah in any way surprising people? Is it what they expected? Is this where the club was supposed to be, so they are? What do you think?
You mean from a Vegas perspective, like a fan's perspective?
Yeah, I'm curious. We have an impression of how the club is performing and how the city's embracing the club in the league, and I just wonder what the perception is from the outside.
Yeah, it's interesting because we kind of have a feeling of like it's a little deja vu for us. Kind of a lot of the same things that people went through in Vegas. You know, the way that it's being embraced, the way that the winning, I think, came a little bit faster. It was definitely a lot faster for us here in Vegas. They went to the Cup final in year 1. You guys are in year 2, so it's a little different. But yeah, I think it's been impressive. Like it's been really cool to see kind of all of the hoopla that went into certainly the Friday game, and then for it to continue, all the billboards, all the stuff on, people putting up signs and flags and all sorts of different things. Like you're definitely seeing that connection to the city, and winning does that. Like there's no doubt. Everybody knows Salt Lake City gets behind their teams. We've seen it as long as you can go back, the Jazz, the Utes, you name it, we've seen it. So it's not terribly surprising to anybody that you got a pretty good product there and that the city's embracing it, but it is remarkably similar to see people kind of learning what playoff hockey is. And like that Game 4, I understand that for everybody in the building, it didn't go the way that you wanted it to go, but how can you not walk away from that game and thinking, I'm never going to forget that I was at that game? I've been to like 100 playoff games. I will never forget Game 4 at Delta Center. And that playoff hockey is unbelievable, and to see people get a chance to experience it and feel the ups and downs of it, it's so much fun.
What has Tortorella brought that you think could make a difference?
I guess he's not Bruce Cassidy. For whatever reason, it seemed like they just did not want to get the messages, was not getting through. I think the messages are probably a lot of the same thing. He doesn't have the battle scars of getting on them for an entire season. And so I guess it's just a little bit of a different message. He's brought a very, psychological view to this. It's been so much less about let's change what we're doing and how we're doing it and who we're playing in certain situations. And he's done a little bit of that. And like I said, they benched a couple key players late in Game 4, which I'm not sure Cassidy would have done that, so I guess maybe that comes in. But for the most part, it's been like he seems like he's there to remind them that they're very good. And I'm not really sure why this team needs that reminding. You asked me a minute ago, like, is it going to be Jack Eichel, Mark Stone, and Mitch Marner? It's like, hey, guys, you have all these players. Like, they're really good. I don't know why they need reminding. But that's kind of what it's been. And he called himself a guidance counselor at one point. It's been an interesting road here because he's not trying to change a ton of what they're doing because they're a very good team. They're very well structured, and you guys are seeing it in this series. Like, they're not breaking down and having mistakes. There's been some things that have happened, but it's not like a complete disaster out there. And so the change in coach, it's really just been like delivering the same style of message in a slightly different way. And in many ways, it's like more positive, I guess, which is weird considering what all of us think of John Tortorella before he got here.
I don't like the take it one game at a time cliche. I know there's truth in it, and that's why everybody says. I still don't like it. So I want to take them 2 series at a time. Anaheim's up 3-2 on Edmonton. This series is 2-2. Which of these 4 teams is going to end up in the conference final?
I still feel like it's probably Vegas. I just think the experience, the health that they have, like they're definitely healthier than Edmonton. Utah's, they're right there. Like I think these next 3 games are coin flips. Vegas has home ice in the 2. You get a little bit of a benefit in that. I just think that they're in a better spot. I think Anaheim jumped all over Edmonton before Edmonton really settled in. And Edmonton looked a lot better last night. I think McDavid looked a lot better last night after his whatever was going on, an ankle sprain or something going on up there. They're having all sorts of different injuries. Draisaitl came in injured. Like, I think they may be the best of the four teams, the Oilers, but I just don't think they're in a position right now, having been down 3-1. Now they got to go back on the road. They got to find a way to win another game here, two more, without Anaheim getting one. I'll put it in this order. I think it's Vegas, then Utah, then Anaheim, then Edmonton, even though I can argue that we could almost flip that completely upside down and how good the teams are and where they are. I just think Vegas is in a good spot in regards to they found a way. Like I said, they gave up 4 consecutive goals in back-to-back games and walked out of there with a win. Like, that's hard to do. It could very easily be 3-1, and they got to be feeling like, all right, let's reset it. We're good. Things are going the way. The advanced stats say we're in good shape. Like, I think Vegas still is the favorite, but it's not by a large number, like, at all. It wouldn't surprise me if any of the 4 of the teams make it the Western Conference Final.
Do you think the winner of the series has to win tonight?
Probably. I think Vegas has a better chance to be able to do it than Utah. I don't see Utah winning the last 2. I think if Utah's going to win the series, they probably do need to get this one, where I think if the Golden Knights lose this one, they can kind of throw everything they have at Game 6, and then Game 7s are typically a coin flip. But, no, I don't think it has to be. These teams are so close. They're really, really close. And a lot of it's been goofy hops. A lot of it's been weird stuff that's happened. Welcome to playoff hockey. It's the best. It's so crazy because inside of games, let alone game to game, everybody's mind changes so drastically. After Game 1, it's like, I don't know if Utah has a chance in this series. And then after Game 3, you're like, Vegas is basically dead. Then 10 minutes into Game 4, you're like, they're back. I don't see any way the Mammoth can get back to this. Then we're into overtime. You're like, I don't know. I have no idea. So who knows, right?
Yeah.
Well, Ken, we appreciate a few minutes. Thanks for joining us. And I think you just accurately summed up how everybody feels about this roller coaster ride of a playoff series.
Right.
Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you again.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Ken Boehlke join us. Sin Bin Vegas. Talking all things Vegas hockey. Golden Knights and Mammoth tonight. Pre-game show starts at 7 on both 97.5 and 1280 The Zone. Adrian Denny has Hockey Night in Utah. 8 o'clock is the official start, but as PK said earlier, come on, these games aren't starting at 8. It's just college football all over again. The preceding game's going to go long, and they're going to slide it to 8:15 or 8:20 or whatever. It's going to happen.
Right.
But we'll have it for you right here on The Zone on both 97.5 and 1280 The Zone. We'll take a break. When we come back, everything you missed in this show, we get you all caught up. Next, stay with us.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/zip. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/zip. That's ZipRecruiter.com/zip. ZipRecruiter.com/zip.
This Memorial Day, shop one of Avocado's biggest mattress sales of the year and fall in love with sleep again. At Avocado, better sleep starts with better materials. Our certified organic mattresses are crafted without compromise, using high-quality organic materials that bring comfort and support into perfect balance. No polyurethane foams, no shortcuts, just a cleaner, more natural sleep experience that your body will appreciate night after night. So you fall asleep more easily, stay asleep longer, and wake up feeling refreshed and ready for the day ahead. That's sleep with purpose. This Memorial Day, discover what it means to truly sleep well. Upgrade and save up to 20% on our award-winning mattresses. Shop the Memorial Day sale now and get up to 20% off at avocadomattress.com or select retailers nationwide. Visit avocadomattress.com. That's avocadomattress.com.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Time to get all of you updated on everything you missed. Brought to you by Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan Wealth today, your local trusted financial fiduciary. Call them at 801-210-6800 or visit the website at TrajanWealth.com. We've talked a lot of college football this morning because the news out of Texas Tech is stunning. Brendan Sorsby gambling on games, allegedly at Cincinnati and Indiana. And the biggest charge is that he gambled on an Indiana game while he was in Indiana. Now, he's a redshirt. He wasn't playing in it. But nonetheless, a major no-no. The expectation is he's looking at a suspension that will take him off the field for the entire season. Now, he can go to court, so maybe there's a chance he can get some eligibility back. He also has a chance to say, I don't even want to do the court thing. Let's just go to the supplemental draft and go to the NFL. Where does that leave Texas Tech? They've got Hammond, who is a freshman, looked really good against the Utes, played in 8 games, but only played a lot in 4 of them, and the results were a very mixed bag. The game at Utah was clearly his best game. So how good are they? Is the door a little more open for Utah and BYU to get to the title game, possibly even both of them for a rematch? And does it open the door for everybody else, whether you're the Arizona schools, your Baylor, your TCU, your Houston, your whoever? And the answer to that, PK, pretty much has to be, yes, the door looks more open standing here today. The question is how much?
I think that it's equal for every team. So the door's open the same percentage for every team in a conference that is a contender. The difference is for some teams, the door has already been opened wider. You follow me?
Yeah, I get that. I don't know that this opens it up. In a way, it opens it up for Utah and BYU because we don't know, but we think they're both going to be pretty good. But I think the teams that really opens the door for are the teams that get to play Texas Tech, and our local schools do not, because now they say we can beat them, we can give them a loss. Utah and BYU, when it comes to Tech, if Tech goes 9-0, they go 9-0. There's nothing Utah and BYU can do about that. They're not going to see them unless they play them in the 10th game.
BYU and Utah both go 9-0.
Well, Utah and BYU can't both go 9-0 since they play each other.
Rats.
I know, right?
That plan just fell to pot so easily. And speaking of pot, it is Willie Nelson's 93rd birthday today.
Hey-o.
How much weed do you think he's blown in his life, man?
Oh, my gosh. You know, when you're driving, I don't know if everyone here knows, but when you're driving from northern to southern California, you go up the Central Valley, and there's just fields after fields after field after orchard after orchard after orchard. Yeah, you're getting warm. That's it. Those miles between Fresno and Sacramento, or Visalia and Fresno, or wherever. Holy cow.
Yeah. I think this could level it out a little bit more. But for BYU and Utah's sake, I can argue that the door has already been open. I don't know if it was open half. Maybe now it's open more, at least half. We'll see. Surprises happen, man. In this conference, this is the wacky whack. Only it's the wacky Big 12.
It is.
And crazy things happen, which makes it fun. And things can just not every year, but both years. There's been a lot of unpredictability,
Yep.
And this might be the latest curveball.
Well, last year, obviously, BYU lost Retzlaff, kind of a similar timeline with what's happening with Texas Tech and Sorsby. But it turned out Bachmeier comes in, and they're pretty good. Now, there was a ceiling, when they got to face Texas Tech. They couldn't block them, and they lost to them twice. And 2 years ago, not only did – and this could happen to Tech too – not only did Cam Rising go down, but then multiple guys behind him – And Hammond is coming back from a knee injury. What if it isn't good enough? What if he re-injures it? What if it's something else? I mean, he's a quarterback. It could be a shoulder or an elbow. I mean, you never know. How deep do they have to go down the depth chart? Is this the in 3 years in a row we've seen one of our local teams lose a quarterback, and 5 wins, 8 wins, 11 wins. Anything is possible. We've seen all of those things happen.
Yeah, I think any team that has to go down to its third quarterback is in trouble.
Yeah.
And that's nothing against that third quarterback. He might be a freshman who just simply isn't ready, or with the availability to transfer, it's someone that was a walk-on and you just needed somebody from depth for depth purposes. So we'll see how that goes.
It's hard to keep three really good quarterbacks because one of them is probably going to take off and go somewhere else.
If not multiples.
Yep.
So, I mean, I personally, Bachmeier, I had no idea he was going to start game 1 last year. I was shocked.
You did not. You were not. We've talked a lot of Utah Mammoth this morning. By the way, that Pete Sousa interview, if you want more on the quarterbacks and the Big 12 and the race and all that, wherever you get your podcast, listen to Pete Sousa, host of Inside the Big 12, joining us. It was at 7:30 this morning in the second hour. He had a lot of opinions on the locals and Texas Tech and the way things stacked up in the league. So if you want more, go get that. We just talked with Ken Boehlke, Sin Bin Vegas. He's also available on a podcast wherever you get that if you missed that. He thinks there is an advantage to be had going up 3-2, but he was really underlining just the wackiness and randomness of the NHL playoffs. He made a point about Edmonton being the best team of the 4 in this quarter of the bracket, but they had a couple injuries. They defended really poorly until last night when they only gave up 1 goal. Maybe they can dig out of this hole, but it is a crazy scramble to see who gets out of this series and who gets to a conference final.
Yeah, I do agree with him, though. I think if the Mammoth want to win, they need a mulligan, meaning they need to win tonight. So then they only would need to win one of the two. It would seem hard for them to win the following 2 games. Not putting it as impossible, just putting it at harder versus what Vegas can put out there.
That is something we say in every sport when a series is 2-2. You really want Game 5. It's not over. It's not impossible, but it's a lot heavier lifting. So, high stakes tonight. Edmonton did win 4-1 over Anaheim. So the other series we're keeping an eye on, Anaheim's up 3-2. Edmonton did avoid the knockout there. Tonight's game is on TNT following the Pittsburgh-Philadelphia game, which starts at 5:30. I wish that thing started at 5, so this one could start a half hour earlier because this is 8 o'clock, but it's going to be 8:20.
I wish that game started at 2 so ours could start at 6.
Montreal and Tampa Bay play on ESPN2 at 5 o'clock, so 3 NHL games tonight. And the NBA tonight, the TNT game, the late TNT game is Utah and Vegas. ESPN will have an NBA game. The Lakers trying to finish off the Rockets. The Lakers are up 3-1
I think they will. Austin
Durant's
Reeves,
already been ruled out.
Yeah, Durant's not playing. He's done. This has been sort
now
of
where? Who wants him now?
A wasted season in terms of what he's trying to accomplish. He's just piling up stats and then not being available in the playoffs. That just decimates that team.
How many playoff series has Kevin Durant won in the last 5 years?
Is that a question you have an answer to?
I do.
Then why don't you just answer it?
One playoff series in 5 years and only 2 in the last 7. 2 since he left Golden State. Not a lot of postseason success there, which I think, again, everything in the NBA view with one eye on the Jazz. It's like they can be really good in the regular season, but then you kick out 14 teams that aren't nearly as good, and you let one team focus on you for 2 weeks and examine all your flaws and see where to attack. And how do you stack up then? The winning gets a lot harder.
Well, in this sport, too, it's who's available.
Certainly this year, and it's a trend that's been trending up. There have been more and more playoff injuries, and I saw a stat, 4 All-Stars have missed games this year, and 4 other players who are maybe not officially All-Stars, but everybody knows who they are. They're really good players. Austin Reeves is not an All-Star, but he's a really good player. Jalen Williams in Oklahoma City was on that list because he's missed a game.
Aaron Gordon.
Aaron Gordon was on that list, you're right, and I'm missing somebody else.
Anthony
There's
Edwards.
name on that list.
DiVincenzo, they've missed 1 game.
DiVincenzo was the other name, yes. You're right. Good work.
Anthony Edwards has missed a game, and he's going to miss
He's one of the All-Stars. Edwards is one of the All-Stars. Durant, Doncic, and Victor Wembanyama missed a game. So you're looking at that's 8 really good players, and the top 6 teams in the West have all been hit. Now, not to the same degree, obviously, but really you could argue the team that's been hit the hardest, the Lakers, is the one that's going to survive. We'll see if Minnesota
their
survives.
other
They've
team
been hit
had the
hard
injury.
now.
I think maybe the Lakers could have beat the Houston either way. We'll never know.
That might be true also.
Doesn't matter.
Nope.
If
You
you're
get
not
what you get.
available, it sucks for you, but away you go. And, the Lakers were fortunate. They ran into a team that probably wasn't as good and didn't have their best player, and that allowed you to sit 2 of your nucleus, get one back. I don't know when Doncic is coming back, but hope for their sakes they're at full strength when they get to the second round.
Yes, they are on pace to face Oklahoma City, and I don't know what kind of chance they have, but obviously without Doncic, it's not going to be pretty. I wouldn't think.
Yeah.
The college basketball news, to go with all that NBA news, the NCAA is closing in on expanding the NCAA tournament to 76 teams. There's some stuff to work out, but it seems like it's going to happen. And they're going to do it for both the men and the women. And you brought up the possibility, PK, tons of speculation, like do they put more games in Dayton? For travel purposes, that looks like a bad idea. I mean, Texas negotiated it. They went all the way to Portland, and then they won, and then they won again, and they got to the Sweet 16, so it can be done. But it does seem to make more sense a place like, and the 2 I read right out of the gate, Salt Lake and Las Vegas, because there's tons of flights out of both cities, and whether you're sending somebody back to, Oklahoma or Texas, or whether you send them out to any of the West Coast cities with NBA arenas, you can get there pretty quickly from here.
Sure, but I wouldn't necessarily set it up for allow their travel. Don't get in that situation then if you're going to worry about travel being a problem.
Right, but I do think the NCAA will. Maybe not. Maybe they'll park all the games in Dayton and just run one side.
No, I think they'll have 2 sites. And away you go, and we'll see. I'm all for change. This doesn't seem necessary, but let's see how it is. And people are going to take you already took a shot at Oklahoma, all right, but you're a big Bay Area guy. Did you take a shot at Steph Curry being in the play-in? They were 5, 6, 7 games under 500 this year.
Yeah. The playoffs, the postseason are getting bloated everywhere because people will watch them. And I think that the NFL did a great job of holding the line for a long time, but I can take shots at the 7 seeds and just look at them and think, really? Really? Have you got it? Why? What's the point? I'm not that intrigued. But you're right. It does happen, and it's going to happen everywhere. And baseball did a great job of holding the line. And to a certain degree, maybe they're doing the best job of holding the line right now. You can still see an 84-win team get in. That gets harder and harder to control with interleague play if things get lopsided. It's just, and the smaller divisions, stuff's going to happen. We're seeing teams with, an 8-9 record win a tiebreaker and win an NFL division.
Yeah, but the only reason why that 84 team got in, and for some reason you're jealous of it, is that they went to the World Series. If they got beat in the first round, nobody would be talking about it.
It'd be like the Warriors. Yeah, we just okay, so they're out.
Yeah, right. But they happen to get hot in a sport where you get hot. And you got hot at the right time.
Yep.
And everybody outside of Los Angeles loved to see that the little guy took out the Dodgers that year.
and baseball and hockey really lend itself to that by the nature of the sports. I mean, it's not that it can't happen in basketball because maybe Orlando's going to take out Detroit here tonight. Orlando's up 3-1. But I just think it's way harder in football and basketball.
Well, tell me what your pitchers are. What are they doing?
Yeah. And do the other teams have their pitchers, or we've started to see bullpen games in the postseason now, Guys are hurt and guys are gassed, and sometimes drastic measures are required. Speaking of drastic measures, the Philadelphia Phillies fired Rob Thompson. Don Mattingly is now the interim, and that is 2 coaches down, 2 managers down, and we haven't made it to May yet. First month of the season, gone. Red Sox, and Phillies.
Big market, big money.
True story.
I don't think you're seeing Milwaukee. If Murphy would have gotten off to a bad start with the Brewers, I don't think he would have get run. But where there's a ton of attention, there you go. And that's sort of the curse of playing in those types of markets where you've had generations of fans and they simply don't tolerate it.
Mets manager Carlos Mendoza acknowledging his status is in question as the Mets get off to a bad start. That'd be big market if he's third.
That would be, yeah. We'll see. I don't know what they're doing there. They can look at maybe some injury situations, but where you're spending much, you want much in return. If you don't get it, there's a problem.
Yeah. And the Mets are off to a 10-19 start, the same exact record that led to the change in Philadelphia. So is it Don Mattingly's kid who's the GM in Philly?
Yeah, that's involved there. I think his name's Preston.
Nepotism in reverse. We don't see that. We don't see kids hiring dads very often. That's crazy.
Well, I think it's an interim thing.
It is an interim, yeah.
For
now, it's interim. We'll see. But you're right. For now, it is interim.
Well, isn't that the definition of interim?
They could take the interim tag off and make him the guy.
But you said for now it's interim. If it's
right,
interim, it has to be for now.
It might be permanent.
By definition, it is for now.
I'm going to battle this. Let's go.
What are you going to battle? There's nothing to battle.
I mean, come on. It's got to be for now. That's the fact.
Mm-hmm.
He's a long-term interim coach.
Or he could end up being permanent. The interim could just be a head fake.
Oh, a permanent interim coach?
Well, I guess to a degree,
ultimately they're all interim then,
right? Even Bruce Bochy
you are
left
permanently interim,
3
sir.
World Series. It was interim. It was a decade, but it was just an interim.
Yeah.
It was a decade-long interim.
Will Hardy doesn't know it, but he's an interim coach.
Yes. The only one who knows it is Pavel, because he did tell us once. You said something about that, and I remember going, PK, I'm a coach. You said something about, I really enjoy interviewing you every week. You got such interesting things to say about sports, and the stuff he says can apply to college or other sports or whatever. It's so
life.
intriguing. You don't get yourself fired. He's like, PK, it's pro sports, man. He's already been fired as a coach.
Yeah, I know.
And let go as a player. He knows.
And that's the reality of it.
Yeah, he's lived it.
If you get a 10-year run at the pro
awesome.
level, that's great.
That is spectacular.
Right.
The NFL news, Denver Bronco quarterback Bo Nix, a second procedure on his surgically repaired right ankle. However, it was expected, and they're saying he remains on track to be ready for training camp. Denver, obviously, very high hopes for them. They're hosting the AFC title game. Now they had to go with their backup quarterback, and they got beat. But very high hopes for the Broncos this year. So we'll see Bo Nix get himself healthy.
I would think he would, yeah.
Yeah. Steelers use the free agent tender on Aaron Rodgers so they get to match anything. And if he does go somewhere else with another offer, they can get a compensatory pick, get a bonus rookie. So he's entitled to a 10% raise off last year's salary, so netting him around $15 million. And hasn't announced what he's doing yet. Don't you assume he's just hanging out for a while and then coming back? Isn't that
if he
the most
wants to
likely
play,
scenario?
yeah. I just don't see where he has many options.
I'd agree. The situations seem to be getting more and more settled, don't they?
Yeah, and he's not as good.
I said Arizona, but you shot that down. You don't buy that.
New coach, you're going to bring in somebody when you're in a rebuilding situation.
And I don't see why he'd want to do that or they'd want to. That division, I mean, at least one of those 3 teams are going to be really good again. You know, if you stay in the NFC North, you got a shot. That thing looks wide open. It ought to be a battle like it was last year.
Yeah, I wouldn't think he would just want to hang on for a paycheck.
No. And if you're going to do at least make a run and, try to get back to the playoffs and, maybe the Ravens with a coaching change might be really good. Maybe Cincinnati or Cleveland gets it figured out. Cincinnati staying healthy.
You're going to bench Lamar Jackson?
What?
You're benching Lamar Jackson?
Pittsburgh's got a new coach. Or excuse me, Baltimore's got a new coach. Why am I benching Lamar?
Well, because you made it sound like that was where Aaron would want to go.
No. I'm saying stay in Pittsburgh and compete against those guys.
Oh, okay. I got you.
As opposed to going to Arizona,
right.
competing with Seattle, who won it all.
Okay.
The Rams were the second best team. The Niners lost to the Rams.
I thought you were listing possibilities for him.
No. No, I think Lamar's good. I think Lamar's the guy.
Right.
It's about as locked up as the job could be.
Yeah, I agree.
I just think that that's a place where you can compete and things could break your way and something good could happen. Whereas if you go to the NFC West, you're going to just be beating your head against the wall. So even though they might have a spot for a quarterback, I just don't see where there's really much of a chance to have success there. That's a long-term rebuild, and they need a younger guy and invest in him.
Right.
As I argue against the thing I threw out there, you love it when I do that. Perhaps we should just go to break and come back with your feedback, everything you're saying about the hockey game tonight, Game 5 in Vegas, and also Texas Tech, BYU, Utah. What's going to happen to Big 12? Plenty of reaction to that. It's all coming up. Stay with us, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This year, experience the NHL playoffs your way. Want to watch a single? Do or die Game 7, a full week of heavy-hitting back-and-forth series. Then check out Sling's 1, 3, and 7-day passes. Watch the Chase for the Cup on ESPN and TNT, starting as low as $4.99. No long-term contracts or overpaying. Just live hockey at home or when you want it. Sling lets you do that. Visit sling.com to learn more.
This Memorial Day, shop one of Avocado's biggest mattress sales of the year and fall in love with sleep again. At Avocado, better sleep starts with better materials. Our certified organic mattresses are crafted without compromise, using high-quality organic materials that bring comfort and support into perfect balance. No polyurethane foams, no shortcuts, just a cleaner, more natural sleep experience that your body will appreciate night after night. So you fall asleep more easily, stay asleep longer, and wake up feeling refreshed and ready for the day ahead. That's sleep with purpose. This Memorial Day, discover what it means to truly sleep well. Upgrade and save up to 20% on our award-winning mattresses. Shop the Memorial Day sale now and get up to 20% off at avocadomattress.com or select retailers nationwide. Visit avocadomattress.com. That's avocadomattress.com.
DJ and PK brought to you in part by Tim Dolly Mazda, Scotty G and the coach. Tomorrow, 10 to 2. They'll be at Tim Dolly Mazda, 10785 South Auto Mall Drive in Sandy. Join them at Tim Dolly Mazda. All right, time for your feedback. And the football fans are out, PK. BYU, because they never really go away. BYU and Utah, what's the impact here with Brendan Sorsby apparently going to be suspended for the year? That's a hit to Texas Tech, losing their starting quarterback, or they're bringing in from Cincinnati. What's the impact? Space Coug says BYU, a ton. Utah, they'll be lucky to have a 6-6 season with that offensive line.
I don't know about that.
Totally dismissive from Space Coug.
Well, that offensive line started against Nebraska.
Right? How'd that go?
Well.
Yeah. Well, you know, and the thing is, it wasn't just Nebraska because they had so many blowouts. Set aside Texas Tech, BYU, and K-State.
Oh, yeah.
But the other 9 games, they got to play. And they get a series here, a couple series there.
Here, a series everywhere, series.
Some of those games were over at halftime. I mean, they were over. I mean, Colorado was done. Cincinnati was done.
Right,
ASU, didn't ASU have that weird storm?
Oh, yeah, it was awful.
Yeah, all the people left too, and the second half felt like a scrimmage. But there's just all those
people
games,
in Florida were saying, "What the freak you doing?"
Yeah, all those games, plural, are an opportunity for these guys. So they're not the starters. That's true, and they got to fit them together. And
but that game was one in which it was together. I remember talking to Mark Harlan about it before the game, and because offensive line has to work in concert. Yep. And those guys passed it with flying colors.
Yep.
If Dampier recreates that 9 times, level of game that he played in that game, sitting in that press box, and I saw him play a ton of games, but he was just flat out incredible in that game. And they toyed with Nebraska. It's like Nebraska wasn't even close. You would have thought that they were a lower level team.
John says losing Sorsby is not going to impact Texas Tech because Will Hammond is more than capable of doing the job. He's got to be more consistent, but he's just a freshman. Now he's a sophomore, so that's not an impossible expectation. It could well be reasonable. He could pull that off.
And wasn't he a redshirt freshman last year?
I'd have to look up his redshirt status. I don't remember that.
I think that
and if it was a true redshirt. It wasn't one of those 4-game redshirts. Not all redshirts are created equal.
Right. But this is his third year in the program. But, if he misses that Houston game,
and they lose,
one game makes a difference.
It does. I think that's a massive game. That is a huge game out of the gate. For them to pick up an L right out of the gate and then one more. I mean, you might make it because 2 years ago it worked out with 4 teams at 7-2. I just don't think it's likely. You're really begging for help. And it has happened.
Well, but that's assuming that that's assuming that you run the table in the other 8 games.
I don't know. See what's going to happen. Also, and you knew it would happen, Notre Dame, BYU will be the biggest game of the day. Plenty of people want to notify us that that's the day Ohio State plays Indiana. So there'll be some anticipation around that. Now we'll see if they can both replicate their success. That's also the day that Penn State plays Michigan. That day's loaded. And ASU plays Texas Tech, so there you go.
Okay, and those are big games, but is Indiana, Ohio State really that big of a game?
There is no guarantee that any of these games we're talking about are going to match undefeated teams. They maybe they do. But if BYU's undefeated, the best bet in all of this is that Notre Dame's going to be undefeated. The front half of their schedule just doesn't look very hard at all.
Well,
it just looks easy.
Even if Ohio State and Indiana are undefeated, so what?
See, that's a big game, and then it goes into big noon, and maybe the next game is Notre Dame and BYU.
Well, no, I'm just saying that does the loser, the loser doesn't necessarily lose anything.
No,
whereas Notre Dame being an independent and BYU being from the Big 12, the implications of that game are far greater than it is in the Big 10 because the Big 10 will give you multiple mulligans.
As we saw with Indiana and Oregon last year, and as we saw Ohio State not even making the conference title game and winning it all 2 years ago.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's right there. Recent history. All right, DJ and PK, we are all done. The coach, Scotty G, on the way right here on The Zone.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.